Hi, it's Anthony Gaddy of Green Ant Marketing here. Now, two of the most common problems that I hear about out in the business territory are how do I get more leads for the business? In other words, how do I close more leads? And the other one relates to cash flow. So, how can we get more cash flowing through the business? I want to offer you in a couple of very short slides here the most amazingly simple model which, if you implement it, will more than likely result in more leads and, in fact, more sales for you, generating more cash flow. Now, I have great fun facilitating this particular lesson at live workshops where there are 30 to 180 people, because typically I'll pick on a male subject. So I'll ask people who in the audience is married, a whole bunch of hands go up. Then I'll narrow it down by saying who's been married for at least 5 years, so slightly fewer hands. And I'll say, okay, who's been married for more than 5 years and you're still absolutely happy in the marriage? And from that group, I'll typically pick a male. I'll show you why in a moment. It helps the lesson if I pick a male rather than a female. Because I'll then ask the male a few questions around how did you meet your wife? Where did you guys meet? And, did you start a conversation that first night that you met? And was there a sparkle in your eyes? And you see their faces typically just light up, and the audience lights up as they start to hear the story of how the guy met the girl, and there was this chemistry, there was this energy. And I take them down a few minutes of asking those questions, and then when we worked out there was really an attraction, there's a chemistry and energy, I simply asked the guy, so you really like this person, you really like the lady, did you ask her to marry you on the very first night? And usually at that point there's a hush, there's a silence. And I usually get a very surprised response, which indicates, of course, I didn't ask her to marry him. I then look at the audience and I say, well, of course he didn't ask her to marry him on the first date, because ladies in the audience, you tell me, what would she have done if he asked the question? Most of the ladies say she would have run. She would have run a mile. Now, why would she have run a mile, even if a guy's a really good guy? Well, here's the truth. She doesn't yet know him well enough to know how good a guy he is. Doesn't yet know him well enough, doesn't yet trust him fully, all the sorts of things that need to be in place in order to confidently say yes to a marriage proposal. Now that's very interesting because this insight is blindingly obvious with the example that I just shared. I'm sure you are thinking exactly the same things. And yet we do this in business all the time. We meet a prospect, someone who we think we can do business with. We ask them a few questions about their business, ideally the strategic interview. And based on that interview, we are sure as the day is long that if they just do the following 1, 2, 3 things and implement those in their business, it make a huge difference to their business. And we wonder why they don't say yes when we propose those 3 things. Well, in essence, quite often what we're doing is we're proposing the full solution, which is for a higher sum of money than the prospect is willing to part with until they get to know you a lot better. So, I'm going to recommend here a much better way, a much better way to get the process going and to allow people to trust you so that when you put the final proposal in front of them, i.e. the marriage proposal, more often than not, they'll actually say yes. What you've got to think about is, instead of proposing marriage on the first date, how can you first ask the person out for a coffee? So think about the guy and the girl analogy. Maybe the better, safer option is to initially just ask for her phone number, which in business terms is a phone number and an email address. But if you just ask her for a phone number, then he gives her a call and says, let's go out for coffee. If the coffee goes well, then he might ask her out for lunch or for dinner. And if the dinner goes well, maybe they've gone for a couple of dinners, one or the other might say, well, would you like to meet my parents? Haha. Okay, so you get to meet the parents. If that's still going well, who knows? Maybe you go away for a holiday together. You take 6, 12 months at least to get to know each other, to really understand the other person, to trust them, what are their life aspirations. At that point, if the guy or the girl, as the case may be, pops the question, well, the likelihood of a yes coming through is much higher, because by then the person actually knows you, they trust you, they actually know how good your services are and what a great impact they could have. And at that point, that's where you want to propose the ultimate solution, the ultimate services. Now, this might seem like a really simple analogy. We've gone from coffee to dinner to meet the parents to marriage. But think about how you can apply this in your business. And if we say that going up the left axis is dollars, in other words, heading up is an increase in cost to invest in you and your services. And on this axis over here, the x-axis, is time. So time is passing in this direction here. Over time, you're able to initially propose some kind of coffee product. So I want you to think about what's an entry-level product that you might have, or if you don't already have it packaged up, what entry-level product could you create, which allows people to just get a sense of who you are and what the services might be and how they might help. I'm going to give you a suggestion here. Why don't you spend 5 or 10 minutes writing down the 5 things that somebody should consider if they're even thinking about buying services from a company like yours. Notice the distinction here. You're not writing about your company and don't promote your company at all. So if I was writing about a marketing company, first thing you might want to consider is if you're even thinking about buying marketing services from somebody or from some company, you might want to think about, does the marketing company actually share the tools, i.e. do they share the intellectual property behind the tools? That's a key question. Notice how I haven't said come to me, buy from me. I'm just suggesting if you're thinking of buying services. Now I recommend you spend the 5 or 10 minutes, work that out for your particular business, more to the point, for your services and solutions without promoting your business. That could be your coffee product. After that, and the coffee product is usually for free. You could distribute that en masse via social media. You could use it as a nurturing nugget for leads you already have. After that, you've got to prepare, you've got to have ready your product for dinner. What's your dinner equivalent? So here's something where they're actually going to pay some money, but it's not the full solution. It's not a huge investment. Ideally, it's something that's a fairly low price, but the perceived value is high. So give some thought to what that product might be, and then heading up the ladder, a slightly more expensive product, higher investment, what's your parents' product, i.e. the equivalent of Meet the Parents. What you need to do is develop this coffee to marriage ladder, and as soon as you've developed it, at the top of the ladder, of course, you've got your ultimate solution. It might be your consulting services. This might be the full-blown solution. Once you've got all these things together, you've got your coffee to marriage system ready to go. I understand you might have a few products ready to go at each of the levels, but just straight off the starting block, recommend you come up with just one, because that will allow you to get the hang of the system. Here's a look at our coffee to marriage system from one of the Green Ant Marketing businesses. This is in fact relating to marketing know-how. And if you have a look at the bottom, there are 2 products for free. One of them is a video, which we had available at the time on YouTube. And by the way, this is straight out of the business plan. So one was a video that was available on YouTube, which we knew from experience would add value to people. And the other was a workshop, which was hosted by some of our channel partners. So the cost to us to put that together was close to zero. And therefore, we were able to offer that particular workshop at a cost of zero in that particular case. Once people got a sense of the value and they really, hopefully, enjoyed the value that they received, we were then in a better position to extend an invitation to our one-day sales training for $16.99. And for a number of people who came through that, by then they really had a very strong sense of, number one, our intent, but number two, our ability to connect people with each other and to facilitate networking, so people would actually do business deals with each other and through each other from that sales training. But also they picked up some really good tools around how to follow a sales process, how to do a strategic interview, and actually how to close more sales quicker. Once people had that level of trust with us, we were able to invite them to a 2-day seminar, which was almost double the price. And then from there, a small number of those people, we would make the offer to join the social media mentoring club, which was actually delivered via one of our partners. Can you see how over here we're going from a cost and investment of zero all the way through to $30,000? When you first meet people, a lot of people would benefit from the $30,000 investment, but they don't yet know you well enough to say yes and to go ahead. So notice here how we took people on a journey so that they could buy the services, buy the options that were most appropriate to them at the time, and they could progress with us from coffee to marriage. I'll show you one more, which is actually for an online sales portal. Don't worry if you don't know, if you don't understand all the details in here. The key is that step by step by step, we're adding huge amounts of value to people, and we're charging 0, 0, 0, 0 through to $30, $45, and $125. Now, this is for stuff that people were paying for the live trainings and the soft copies of documents. This would be up in the 5 to tens of thousands of dollars. So this was actually an online play, but notice again, it's a stepped system. Over time, people are being asked to make more of a time commitment and a dollar value commitment, and many people are willing to make that commitment because they're getting to know us through this whole coffee to marriage system. So the challenge that I've got for you is to name at least one product. Ideally start by naming exactly one product or solution at each level and have them ready to go. You will find once you've organized your products in this coffee to marriage system, the likelihood of getting prospects on board and getting them to actually take action initially at this coffee level is much, much higher. Make it easy for people to say yes to you at the various steps along the way, and you're going to land up with a lot more people actually accepting the marriage proposal. Hope this has been really useful and practical, and good luck with the implementation. I look forward to sharing another lesson with you soon.